Today's lesson is 6-4, Journalizing and Posting Adjusting Entries. So today's learning objective is to journalize and post the adjusting entries for supplies and prepaid insurance. Adjusting entries for supplies. Journal entries recorded to update general ledger accounts at the end of the fiscal period are called adjusting entries. Two of the adjusting entries that we use are supplies and prepaid insurance, because supplies can get used up and prepaid insurance is used monthly. Adjusting entry for supplies, you have supply expense and supplies are the two accounts. So as of January 31st, my balance was $620. My adjustment was for $530 to show that my new balance is now $90. So the journal entry is going to look like this. The account title, supply expense. This is in the worksheet, and then you have the actual journal entry. So it's adjusting entries, January 31st, supply expense is debited for $530, and then supplies is credited for $530. The second adjustment entry that we will be doing is adjusting for prepaid insurance. It's the insurance expense and the prepaid insurance. So on January 31st, our balance was $900. We made the adjustment of $150 so that our new balance would show $750. The journal entry is going to look as such. It's a second adjustment. So on the 31st, the insurance expense is debited for the $500, and the prepaid insurance is credited the $500. I'm sorry, $150, not $500. So you write the heading, the date. The debit amount should correspond with the insurance expense, and the credit amount should correspond with the prepaid insurance. Partial ledger accounts after posting adjusting entries. So once we've done our adjusting entries, we need to go back into the four accounts and adjust the balance to show the correct amount. So supplies, prepaid insurance, insurance expense, and supplies expense, all four must have the last transaction, the adjustment, recorded. So why are we adjusting journal entries, and why are we journalizing them? To update the general ledger account at the end of the fiscal year. Where's the information obtained to journalize adjusting entries? This is from the balance sheet, and it's the credit column. Which accounts are increased from zero balances after adjusting entries for supplies and prepaid insurance are journalized and posted? This is the supply expense and the insurance expense. Alright, let's go ahead and log into MindTap. So for the work together, what they want us to do is on April 30th of the current year, Fix It Now has completed the worksheet shown above. Journalize the adjusting entries and use page 8 of the journal entry. So I'm going to scroll down so that we can see the account titles. So you can see that supplies was credited $153 and prepaid insurance was credited $125. The order does matter, and it goes by the debit. So the first one that we're going to do is our supplies. So our journal entries are going to be for the same date. It's the end of the month, April 30th. So I already have the title, adjusting entries. So April 30th. Remember that the expense goes first. So supplies expense, and then supplies. The amount was $153, so I have a debit $153 and a credit of $153, and they both go under the general because it's not a sales credit and it's not a cash. The next journal entry, we don't have to write the month, but we do have to write the day, so it's also the 30th. It's going to be insurance expense and prepaid insurance. This time the amount is $125. So I debit the insurance expense $125 and I credit the prepaid insurance $125. And next step. So now we need to post these amounts to the four accounts. So I always recommend that you go in order as they're listed in the journal. So I'm going to go to supply expense first, and on the date of April 30th, I don't have to write anything, and it's a debit of 153, so now I have a balance of 153. And expenses carry their balance on the debit side. So now I'm going to go to supplies, and same thing on the 30th. I'm actually reducing this one, so notice that supplies carries its balance on the debit, but I'm actually posting a credit of 153. So what that's going to do to this balance is going to reduce it. So I'm going to have to subtract 228 and 153 for my balance of 75, and that's going to be posted on the debit. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the insurance expense. So insurance expense, April 30th. And the insurance expense is a debit of 125. Since this is an expense, the balance is carried on the debit. Then I will go into my prepaid insurance. And again, I don't have to write the month this time, I just have to write the date. And I am crediting my prepaid insurance 125, which means that I'm going to have to do some math. I am reducing the balance, so 375 minus 125 gives me a total of 250. My new balance is 250, and it's recorded on the debit because prepaid insurance is an asset. Note the account number, 150. And that's all you're doing in today's lesson. You will be journalizing the entries and then posting the actual amounts to adjust the ledgers. If you have any questions, feel free to ask me in class.